mentor sentences. Now, I use them kind of in the traditional way in my warm-ups. Every time when I'm starting class, I'll have a sentence from a well-known author, and they need to try and mimic the pattern of that sentence so they can kind of feel what it feels like to write a sentence like that. But I also do something else. When I'm doing my writer's workshop and I work on my number one skill out of the 6, number 1 is working on voice. This is one of the activities I do called Write with the Pros, and it's a little like a twist on mentor sentences. I take them through 3 different activities that they do to get kind of deeper and deeper with their practice of voice. The first thing that they do is I have like a paragraph. It's about 3 sentences, and it's from a famous well-known book. So there's sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3, except I remove one of the sentences. So they have sort of the setup and how the author ended the passage, and what they have to do is inject voice into that passage and try and write the middle sentence, or maybe sometimes it's the 3rd sentence. And they type it in there, and then they click on this little button, and it takes them to the reveal slide to see what the author actually wrote in their book. And it's fun because sometimes the kids actually come up with sentences that are way more interesting than what was actually in the novel itself, and they feel really great that they were able to, do even better. They love to share out what they came up with in place of what the author did. So in this one that I'm going to show you here in a minute, I took out passages from 4 different books: Percy Jackson, A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Now, when they see these slides, there's a little bit of mystery to it because they don't know what book this is from. After they've done that, they go and they become voice detectives, where you have your library books there. Either you have your own library in your room, or maybe you'd have a whole bunch from the library, or go to the library. And I have them go and hunt for examples of awesome voice. And they're looking for examples where the author wrote emotional responses, really precise language, like find a passage that they love, and then they write it down word for word onto the document or into the printable. And it's really good muscle memory, basically, for them to write what an author has written there, word for word, with everything perfectly correct. And then we share out what they find, and then you could do lots of activities with like deciding which one was the best, that kind of thing. And the third thing they do is I give them a setup. It's not from a book. It's a different setup. It's just a basic one situation. And then they have to finish completely that passage so that they're now practicing in deeper level, injecting voice into a scene that goes a little bit further each time, so they're writing more and more and more. Now I'm going to go over to my screen and I'll show you what these look like. So here is what I do with mentor sentences. It's a little bit of a twist on it. It's something that I call Write with the Pros, and they actually have 3 different activities they do with these slides. So it's not done in one session. This will take several sessions. So the first thing is their first task. They're going to take a look at a passage from a pretty well-known novel. They probably should know each of these, but you could use whatever you have in your classroom that you know that they've all read. It kind of helps, but and what happens is I give them a reminder of like the couple of things they're looking for when they're going to inject voice, which is emotional reactions and precise language. So they go through that. And then here's what I do. I take a passage from a well-known book and I take out the middle sentence or maybe the end sentence, and they have to figure out what would go here. What do you think the author would have said? So they can actually go in here and type in what their response is. Then they go down to this little box, and then it's revealed to them what book it is and what the author actually wrote. So it's highlighted here. So this is from Percy Jackson. And a lot of times the kids will write something that's like even better than what the author wrote, which feels really good to them. So then you click here and it takes you right back where you were and you move along. So I do this with 4 different novels. So you could do that too. Just take a passage, take something out, see if they can fill it back in, and then they go to a reveal slide. After they've done these, we do Edward Tulane and Rowley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Lemony Snicket. Then their next task is to be a voice detective. So I have them look around the classroom at some novels there, and they have to go in and find passages that they think are an excellent example of voice. And so here I kind of lead them through how they're going to fill in. They're going to type in the passage, which is great for muscle memory to write it all correctly. And then their next step is to change the color. They have to pick out their very favorite lines from that passage. And then third, what is the name of the book and the author's name? So in the slides, they can just type here and do it that way. Another option, sometimes I do this if I'm not feeling like I want to be super digital, is we do the same thing, but just use a handout like this, and they handwrite it in there, and then you could use highlighters for them to find their favorite passages. A fun thing to do also with this is to kind of have like a bracket, a competition where they submit their favorite one, and then the students vote for this round, next round, until we get it down to their favorite voice passage, and we see who wins. It's always fun. After they do that, their third task, it's their turn completely to fill in their voice, but not from a novel. It's just from some setups, some scenes that they have to finish, so that they write 2 more sentences with this setup and see if they can type in, is there an emotional reaction here? How you feeling? Can you give us more detail? So like a really precise example of like, what does this scene look like? And for mine, I do like 10 of these. So this, you could break this up maybe 5 at a time or something. And I do also, another option would be to do it paper, where they go in and then they handwrite on here. So I have a couple like that where we do that. It kind of depends on what's going on. And then on the bottom here, these are the reveal slides are all at the bottom there. And this is all part of my writer's workshop that I do. These only 6 skills that I teach during the workshop. Essays are a different thing, and that's a different video. But these are the ones that I teach all the way around the wheel, and then we repeat it again. So these come from number 1, voice. And I'll have some more lessons and ideas up for the next one, which is hooks. So keep your eyes out for that. And I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.